welcome to Driving to the Hoop Basketball Diaries. It's a little cool day here in Rochester. I think that's how it's going to be till about April or May even. So thanks for tuning in. Today I'm going to be talking about the argument for anyone being the greatest player of all time outside of Michael Jordan. And today I'm really going to focus on one player that, to me, from top to bottom, and I say this with all due respect to any other player that's ever laced them up, and with the likelihood that people are going to think I'm crazy here, but from top to bottom, when you're talking from high school career, college, pros, the greatest basketball player ever, in my opinion, not necessarily the greatest NBA player, but the greatest basketball player ever is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Just to kind of quickly, go over that. I mean, you can look at his high school career. Was he the greatest high school player of all time? Probably so, right? Powers Memorial. They were just champion every year he pretty much played, right? They didn't drop but maybe a couple of games his entire high school career. He just dominated, right? Over in such a tough, district you could call it, when he was playing in high school in New York City. It was a tough schedule. Not one that most high schools would have done very well in. And then so from there he goes to UCLA, wins the championship. I believe he wins it 3 times. They drop 1 or 2 games again in 4 years he plays college basketball. Just an amazing college career. Easily, if you were to do a mock draft of the starting 5 of college basketball players, easily Kareem would be your center. I know that Elvin Hayes had a great game against him in, I believe it was in '68, I want to say. But he had a great game against UCLA and put them away. In Jabbar's defense, he did have an eye injury, corneal abrasion, I believe is what it was. During that game, he probably would never say that was an excuse, but it was an injury nonetheless, and you try playing with something like that. Elvin Hayes just dominated that game. It happens, so even to the best. And then now you go to the NBA, and I think that the default answer is always Michael Jordan. And there's probably no question that as far as NBA players' impact on a game, how he evolved the game, his scoring, his defense, all those things, he was just second to none. Greatest shooting guard, of course, of all time, greatest guard of all time, and probably the greatest NBA player of all time. But when you're not just talking about NBA only, I think Kareem gets a good argument, because when you look at his resume, 6 MVPs, right? More than anybody. 38,000 some odd points. Still, the NBA record for the most points is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I think LeBron will pass him, but he's held that record for, I think he broke it in 84 or 85. So we're talking close to 40 years. He's been the scoring leader, all-time scoring leader. 6 NBA championships. That's the same as Jordan, by the way. So people that are, ring hawks, whoever had the most rings is who's the best. Well, he had the same amount as Jordan. Now, was he the impact player that Jordan was on all those championships? No. He certainly was on the first one in Milwaukee with Oscar Robertson, the '80 championship. He got robbed of the finals MVP. I know Magic had a great Game 6 against Philly and put them away in Jabbar's absence. But if you go back and you look at Jabbar's averages in that series, he averaged 34 a game and like 14 rebounds, several blocks. His stat line average was insane for that series. So for him to not be the Finals MVP in 1980 is horrible. But I get why they did it. Magic was fantastic too. And then, so he was the man in the 71 championship. And then he was the man in the 80 championship. 82, he was still the man, right? 80, let's see, 83, they lost to Philly. 84, they lost to Boston. 85, I'm pretty sure he won the Finals MVP that series, so he was still the man, right? I mean, he was putting up great numbers. Now in 87 and 88, clearly Magic's team by that point, but he was still an impact player. So, you know, we can talk all day about who had the most impact or whatever, but when you look at his resume, it's pretty insane. And not to mention, he probably would have the shot block record. I'm not 100% sure of that. I've tallied it before. It would be really close if you did kind of an average, because the first 4 or maybe 5 seasons he was in the NBA, they didn't even keep the block shot record. So is it a shoe-in that he would have had the shot block record over Hakeem Olajuwon? It's close, but he'd certainly be right there in that conversation. And so just a great overall player who I mean, he was effective into his 40s. He still battled Detroit in the 1989 NBA Finals at 42 years old. Just, you know, he really is just the ultimate basketball player. Had the most unstoppable move ever. You can talk about the fadeaway or the finger roll or whatever, but Kareem's skyhook is easily the most unstoppable move in NBA history, and got him about 30 of those 38,000 points that he put down. So just some thoughts. Again, not maybe the greatest NBA player, but you could certainly make an argument, and definitely in my book the greatest basketball player of all time. Give me your thoughts, and I'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe, of course.